Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed and Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvolt, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, Henrik86, God Rockin', Jeronism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nathan Thompson, Nagara, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Renee, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac, Clock App, theflatearthchannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Herkins, and Windrider. Thank you very much indeed to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now, we are joined by a few people in both Discord and G Plus panel, so I'll raise the mic on them, see who's in there and who's chatting away. Hopefully somebody.
Well, I prefer to moderate, like, I guess the voice channels more, because that way I don't have to focus my eyes and my hands also. But yeah, I can't complain.
Well, you did good work. Thank you.
You.
Time to refill my coffee cup. See you in a bit.
I'm back now, by the way. Have you been on top of the Discord muting, or do I need to crack on with it?
I can do it right now.
Groovy. You there, Flatsoid? Have you said hello yet? Wow, quiet start.
Mic check.
Hey, Globosexual. Good to have you.
Hello, nice to be here. I just had a quick one. You guys, what do you guys think about the meteorite? Do you guys believe that they, for example, we can see them, we can observe them in nature? I've seen falling on the ground.
Have you observed a meteorite?
I have never. That's what I'm asking. Have you?
I've never observed one, no.
Because it is interesting, because they say that the only naturally occurring iron is actually within this meteorite. It is the only naturally, like I said, occurring iron that we see, for example, on a periodic table. That iron represented there is actually only found in these meteorites that nobody can ever observe, whereas iron ore, for example, to extract the iron from it, you are actually having to extract the iron oxide and then turning that into iron. by, and this of course has human interaction and it makes this particular element kind of not occurring naturally. Only, they say, the only naturally occurring, of course, is through the meteorite.
Where is the supposed meteorite coming from?
Exactly. You guys do not believe in space. That is why this is kind of, and I'm questioning at the moment. I'm in the, perhaps even you could say I'm in a transition period. I'm questioning a lot of things that have come to my attention. But that's why now I was somebody talked to me about this, and they said that yes, that iron oxide is naturally occurring, but not iron on its own. It has to be, it is occurring within rock deposits like hematite is a common one, but it has to be, humans have to interact with this iron ore and extract the iron in form of iron oxide, so it is not even iron. So there's some things to question when it comes to chemistry as well, I think.
Can I ask you a question before you keep going on?
Sure.
What's easier to accept, a violation of a natural law or someone describing iron ore?
Excuse me, come again? You sort of broke up.
What's easier? I hope I'm forming the question properly. If not, I will do it again. What is it easier for you to accept, a violation of a natural law or someone's explanation of iron ore?
Neither are easy to accept.
Okay, good.
They're not acceptable.
Or doesn't one
good. So then we have to start with the basics. Can you have gas pressure without a container? And can you violate natural law to have your presupposition of iron ore?
Exactly. Well, the presupposition here would be the meteorite and the iron that would be extracted, which is apparently, like I said, pure iron. So this argument that you are saying about pressure without a container, like I said, I would have to make you make a presupposition about this meteorite breaking off from an asteroid, of course, and coming from this space, which is not proven to be a real place.
If we have iron ore, therefore space?
No, he's agreeing with you.
I know. I'm just saying to him, in a summary, their argument is we have iron ores, therefore we have space.
Well, I don't think that's the argument he's making. He's saying if you can't have space, then you can't have their story about where iron ore comes from.
Yeah, I know he's agreeing with me. I'm just summarizing the person that he's referencing in this, either real discussion he's having with someone or just imaginary, just for the sake of, our debate show. If P then Q is what I'm saying, is they say because we have this iron ore, therefore we have space. Well, that doesn't prove space, is what I'm saying.
That is not what I am saying at all. I'm just saying that there are things to be looked at when it comes to chemistry as well as other things that have come to my attention about the science that I thought I knew. But this is very interesting, I think, because like I said, iron ore is widely available in forms like hematite. But like I said, we have to intervene as humans to produce iron from this. It does not occur naturally. It occurs naturally as iron oxide, which is like a rust. So it is chemically bonded, the oxygen with the iron, and it is this that we extract from these rocks during the smelting process. So it is not even pure iron.
And what does that prove?
And it is said that iron is naturally occurring, as in naturally occurring in nature. It is a lie. It would not. That would be implied by this.
Are we talking about iron or are we talking about asteroid?
Excuse me?
You just now are talking about iron naturally or not naturally occurring in nature. Your first question I thought was about asteroids.
Well, I mean, like I said, asteroids would come from space, which I have now come to sort of question. So it is, if space doesn't exist, then naturally, then these meteorites would also not exist, and this iron ore that is naturally occurring does also not exist.
I
And,
don't see
we
the
are taught
connection
that
between
chemistry
iron ore
settles
and space.
science, and this is sorry.
I don't know why, but I don't see the connection between the iron ore and space connection you're trying to make, the absence of or the non-absence of. I can't wrap my head around what the two have together.
Well,
Can I try maybe just to clarify?
sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so Tenth Man, I think what he's trying to say is that as he's beginning to question a lot of things, he's sort of saying that they say certain things come from space. So if space doesn't exist, where do those things come from? Because they make a distinction between what's in space, what's on the Earth, and they sort of say that certain things are only from space or certain things are only from Earth. But if everything is, somehow here, then yeah,
Yeah,
where
but
is it? What
I
is
get
it?
you.
Are
I
they
get
really
you. I
telling
get
us?
you. I get you, but that's begging the question. Now you're talking about things coming from space and haven't even proven space first.
Yeah, so he's just sharing his personal journey. I think that where he's just trying to share. I think how he's starting to question everything. Yeah, that's why.
Okay, so
Yeah.
does all
I
the
think
iron
you are
come from
still kind
space
of
or
missing the
what?
point here, guys. They say that iron, the naturally occurring element, is only available in meteorite.
But you see, how can they prove
It is
that?
not available because that's what I mean. They cannot prove this, but this is apparently this is settled chemistry. So even
Okay, can I ask you
chemistry
a
is
question? Can I ask
infiltrated
you a
with
question?
lies.
So if iron is only coming from meteorites and meteorites are coming from space, then are you saying all the iron on this earth that's ever been used for pots and pans and cars and anything else had to come from space first?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that you are missing the point here. That I'm saying that the iron that is occurring, that is extracted from iron ore on the earth, not from meteorite, is actually iron oxide. It is not naturally occurring iron as we are told, because it is a supposed natural element which is not naturally occurring. Humans have to intervene in order to produce iron.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and see what they're doing right there is they're getting you to discuss iron rather than proving the actual space actually exists first. And so they've got you going between iron ore and iron oxide. And I haven't seen any proof of what they're saying to be true. And there would have to be a ton of meteorites for them. And plus, they'd have to prove space. And this is just begging the question.
Exactly what I'm trying to say here is that there seems to be a lot of lies, even
Yes.
with things we are told, like chemistry is supposed, settled science. It can be put through a scientific method and experimented upon. So that is what I'm
Yes.
trying to get at here, guys.
No, you're good.
Not
You're good now.
that.
You're good. I get you.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
Excellent. There's just
Now, see,
a
they
lot of
also
things we have
say,
to question. That's all I'm
yeah, they
getting at,
also,
guys. But that's
they
all.
also
Yes,
say that the
it's
Earth
good to
is
have a critical
rotating.
eye. Yeah.
Right? They also
See,
say the Earth is rotating.
yeah, but you see, they need to make this type of information up to keep their story alive. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tied into so many things. Is to sort of tease it apart. Yeah, it's really challenging at this stage because just looking up iron in Encyclopedia Britannica, it goes on about iron makes up 5% of Earth's crust and is second in abundance to aluminium, along with so on and so forth. Iron, which is the chief constituent of Earth's core, is the most abundant element in Earth as a whole, about 35%. And is relatively plentiful in the sun and other stars. So yeah, they've woven this globe fabrication into everything. It's just it's just something as basic as iron, and what we use every day is just
No, I mean, iron ore could just be a man-made thing, and now they're trying to make it safe from space.
Well, I'm going to start my own show, and I'm going to have my first housekeeping question will be any evidence of naturally occurring iron.
All right, interesting.
So where do we get iron from again?
Heard something about.
Well,
core,
apparently,
I don't know.
Earth's
we
crust.
can only get it naturally from meteorites. So I would like someone to come and show me a meteorite first.
Sure, but
I have never seen one.
no. To 10th man, where do we actually get iron from? The iron that's in the cars and the frying pans. Where's that come from?
Well, according to the description read by the other caller, it said Earth's crust.
From what?
Earth's crust.
From the ground. So occurring naturally in the ground.
Yeah.
But not by itself. It's as a ore that you have to separate. I think it's like iron oxide.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I appreciate there's going to be some process to extract it, but it's in the ground to begin with. So it is occurring naturally. It's there in the ground.
He was saying
iron
that.
oxide.
Yeah, he was saying they claim that the only type of pure iron or non-iron oxide occurs in meteorites. Yeah.
I appreciate this, but this got covered immediately. So if they claim it's come from a rock that's in space, and space is a violation of a natural law, therefore doesn't exist, then the rocks they claim came from space didn't come from where they just made up a story about. So they made up a story about a place, where the rocks come from, and made up another story about how the rocks come from that fake place they made up. So you can just ignore all of it.
But even worse though, when they say what's in the ground and where it comes from, they then make up more stuff about it's from the crust, and then it's from how deep below, and then it came up to the crust from XYZ. So even what's in the ground, they're also making stuff up because it's based on their, the sphere model and how big the Earth is.
Yeah.
Even if it's in the ground, it's still a problem.
But that's just a
Isn't
process
the core
of...
iron as well?
That's just a process of figuring out how they've come to the conclusion that they've come to. In the case of a heavy bombardment and Thea colliding to give us an oversized core, well, that's part of the rhetoric, and there's no justification for this story. So if their story of how it's come from the core of the Earth and it's worked its way up and whatever they come up with as a story, if that's based on a complete made-up story of heliocentrism, well then there's no validity in that explanation whatsoever. Same goes for the meteorites coming from space. If the place it's supposed to have come from doesn't exist, then the story's ultimately void. But it's just a story, right? The only justification for their explanation for it coming up through these layers is based on Earth having these layers that they claim it has after being collided with by another planet. So it's all based on planets and spheres and Earth in space.
Yeah, starting from
Morning, by
scratch
the way,
is,
guys.
in a sense, painful.
Depends on which way you look at it. So while I was listening, making a coffee, I was thinking, yeah, what he's saying is, well, how do we explain this now? Well, I don't have an explanation. Isn't the world a wonderful place of mystery and excitement? All sorts of wonders to be discovered. What's that? We used to have a story. Yeah, we did, didn't we? What, you want another story from me? Well, no, I'm not into making up stories about where the rocks came from if I don't know. I just say I don't know.
Can I
Yeah,
quickly
see,
read
that's-
something here that
sorry.
is very... I know it's from Wikipedia, but this is interesting. It says, meteoric iron makes up the bulk of iron meteorites, but is also found in other meteorites, blah, blah. Apart from minor amounts of telluric iron, meteoric iron is the only naturally occurring native metal of the element iron on the Earth's surface. I know it doesn't mean a lot coming from Wikipedia, but
the start of the story started with meteorites.
exactly, well, that's my
meteoric
point.
iron came from the iron of meteors. Is that what it said?
That's
Yeah.
why I said it was begging the question right from the get-go.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just a story to punt their version. That's all.
But Globosexual clearly appreciates this because he's now saying, look, based on the fact that space can't be real, I've now got these other holes in this narrative that I used to hold on to. Well, what do I do now? It's like, well, I don't know. I can't help you with that, I'm afraid. I can only point out where they've lied and made up stories. As for me making up new ones for you, I'm not going to do that. Sorry.
Well, let me give them another one to consider. This is a paragraph from an article I'm reading on celestial sphere. This is a mind blower, actually. The celestial sphere is a large sphere centered on the Earth and having the same center point and rotational axis. See below diagram. Imagine that all celestial objects are located on the inside of the non-rotating celestial sphere. As the Earth rotates within the celestial sphere, west-east, an observer on the Earth will see celestial objects move across the sky on the middle of this sphere, east to west. Because the celestial sphere is tilted to the same axis of rotation of the Earth, celestial objects move across the sky in arcs, centered on the Earth's polar axis. Note, the celestial sphere is imaginary and does not actually exist.
What? Imaginary?
No, what they've done is they've taken you through what the celestial sphere does, juxtaposed it with an Earth that turns, and then at the end declared that there is no celestial sphere, the one that we're using to compare it to the Earth that turns, that we're presupposing based on the celestial sphere we started with, and are now declaring doesn't exist. Wow.
do you think people actually read it to the end?
Oh, I mean, it's right in front of everyone if they just do. Look, I'm a stinking farmer. I'm just so enamored with how plain inside everything is. And if you just have a paradigm shift of thinking, you spot these things. But if you don't, you just swallow it.
It really said at the end it doesn't exist. Is that what I
I
heard?
will take a screenshot and post it. I will give the website so you can see all the diagrams. It says right at the end of the first paragraph, celestial objects move across the sky in arcs centered on the Earth's polar axis. Note, the celestial sphere is imaginary and does not actually exist.
Just brilliant.
Oh, what a day.
Don't cherry pick, dude.
What a
Ranty.
shame.
Okay, I'm going to post this. I'll let Ranty say hello.
Hi, Ranty.
Hey, everybody.
So Ranty.
Yeah. You see, Fight the Flat Earth has conceded to Sleeping Warrior now. Finally.
Conceited about what?
Gravity is not a physical force.
No way.
Yep. Oh, hell yes.
Wow. Maybe I should go play the lotto today or something. What the hell happened today?
You got a
Took him
clip,
long enough.
Ranty. You got a clip?
Sorry?
You got a clip?
I have somewhere. One sec. Let me just get it ready.
It took him long enough.
There we go. I'll just put it from there. Right. Oh. Hang on. Right. Let me share my screens.
Will it get audio?
I don't know if are you gonna get the audio through?
I was going to say stick it in Master B and just give me a timestamp. I'm going to go live in 2 minutes. If I've got time to do it in the pre-show, I'll do it twice.
Right. Okay.
Chocolate, I posted in Master B if you want to share it, at least the one image, and then the whole website's there too.
All right, I'll look at that in a little bit.
Right. So you want to go to 24 seconds on this, Nathan? I'll put it in Master B's.
24 seconds?
Yeah, 24 seconds. I've done a little video. I've just put it up, but I've got the clip there for it, for you to see.
Gravity is not a physical force.
That's just a little clip out of the video that I did.
Let's just hold on 1 second. Get it looking a bit clearer. Just want it to be presented a bit nicer.
Do you got the context of what he said before he said that, Ranty?
Yeah, I've got it through the video. Yeah, about
Sorry,
halfway through.
Quite 1 second.
Gravity is not a physical force.
I love how you
Good
said
sound.
it.
I like the sound effects, yeah.
That sound effect made it everything.
I can just
Isn't that their
imagine the
whole
still
argument?
face of him.
Go ahead. You said
I
that?
can.
I did it. Isn't that their whole argument that gravity is a physical force?
yes, it is, yeah.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using stock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Ranty Flat Earth, Flatzoid, 10th Man and Chocolate Sane in G+. Good to have you all.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Afternoon for me.
Hello, and we're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord, so hello to all of you as well.
Hello.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Good to have you on and all. Before we get into housekeeping, I've decided every so often I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of the people who've joined at the higher levels of membership. So I'm going to do a quick shout out now to all of you who've joined as a lion, a unicorn, or a Yoda. So massive shout out to Anaconda Malt Liquor, Daz, Studio 68, Kamikaze Gilmore, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Paige, Rhett Priestley, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, the God Series, Contrapinion, I think that is, Windrider, All People, Free People, Colin Dresser, and Eagle Plane and Anchor. So a massive shout out to all of you for supporting me as a Nathan Oakley channel member. There are a whole bunch of other people that have joined as hyenas and unicorns, but just too many. I don't want to take up the entire show shouting out everybody, but periodically I will shout out those other memberships as well when I'm on the live show. In the meantime, any signs of Earth curvature?
Well, can I just say, I am a penguin.
Yeah, I know you are. You'll get a periodic shout out now and again.
So what was the question, Nathan?
Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from the Cliff House restaurant.
Got a new question. Do you want to ask it, 10th man?
I would love to ask it.
Go ahead.
Any evidence of a physical sphere edge capable of geometric measurements, for boats to go over?
To block things from the bottom up. To measure geometrically. No, they ask us for an edge, but in reality they have one. They reify a not actual location we call the horizon into a physical sphere edge to obscure things and have boats go over. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, as Ranty's here?
Nope.
Good morning, Arwen.
Good morning, Arwen.
Hi.
Hey, Arwen.
Morning.
Anyone in G+, axial rotation?
No, not
Anybody?
that I'm
Discord?
aware of.
We're the ones in G+, bro.
Okay. Discord.
You mean Discord?
Yeah.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, astrophysics, or cosmology?
Still waiting for Dr. Becky to get back to me, but she did post a little snippet. I think she's at a conference in Hawaii, and they're talking about how they got these gas clouds in the vacuum of space, and it's pretty interesting. But no, she still hasn't answered the question from 2019.
Bummer. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Can I have a second? This
Yeah.
is just so typical. Just really short. But I tried to find the actual YouTube live stream because there was no notification. So I dug around, clicked on your channel, then clicked on the video actually being live. And guess what? That second that I clicked on it, suddenly my notification says, oh yeah, Nathan just went live 4 minutes ago.
At least you got a notification in the end. Yeah, I'm pressing my little buttons to say please share the show to the people in the chat. Hello everyone in chat. Good to see you. AJM, Gavin, 101, Emma. Nice to see you all.
Yeah. Anyway, no scientific proof of gravity. It's just a concept, an aberration.
We've got a little clip, haven't we? Should we play our little clip?
Go ahead.
What's the timestamp again?
Oh, crap.
24.
24, isn't it?
Okay.
24 seconds,
I've got it.
Gravity is not a physical force.
Excellent. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Wait, Nathan. I had something to add to any valid hypotheses. I feel like archaeology should be included in that. Should it not?
Archaeology?
Yeah, archaeology.
You mean when they find one tooth and make a full description of what the rest of the animal looked like from one tooth?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
How about a viable
Sounds pretty
hypothesis?
pseudoscientific.
How about a viable hypothesis or some proof that the Earth is, what is it, billions of years old? That?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean, because y'all said astronomy, astrophysics, and what was the other one?
Cosmology.
Okay. I was like, I might have something to add, archaeology, or evolutionary biology, maybe another one.
Shout out to the new channel member.
I was just about to, but I need like a bit of time to say his name. Khabib, I can get that bit. Nurmagomedov. I'm so sorry. I know I've butchered that completely.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Go ahead, Arwen. Can you say, hold on. Everyone clear the air. Go on, Arwen. Can you say it again, please?
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Khabib Nurmagomedov. Thank you very much for joining as the latest penguin. Woohoo!
UFC fighter, Nate.
Say again, Ranty, I didn't hear that.
That's the name of a UFC fighter. Probably the best UFC fighter in the division at the moment, actually.
Is that so?
Yeah.
That is
I
so.
have no idea.
Welcome, comrade.
No, it's a sock.
Well, if he's the real UFC fighter, kick ass and take names, my friend.
He has 7 subscribers.
Where were we? Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for all the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe the sky is a vacuum?
Keyword pressure. No.
What, as in pressing on stuff?
Container.
Yeah.
Gas is pressing on all the other gas and the container.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Iron.
Does it have to be iron though?
This question speaks to that. You appreciate that, right?
Well,
Well,
they still do say it, right? That it's an iron core, even
Well,
though it's been kind of like
just-
geologists are trying to figure out,
Well,
trying to
we
adapt
all-
the model of what's down there.
let me know when you're done, Arwin. Every time I start taking a word, you start again.
Sorry. But no, there's definitely no actual proof of a molten iron core at the center of presupposed spherical Earth.
But earlier we were discussing meteors, and while you may not class Theia as a meteor, it's a giant claimed to have been celestial body that smashed into the Earth. And the debris, given that it hit Earth, according to their rhetoric, at a glancing blow, not destroying the fledgling Earth planet, and instead depositing, how convenient, a molten iron core on Earth, and the debris coalesced to become our moon. That's their rhetoric. I mean, it's true to them because they made it up themselves.
Exactly. It seems like all the iron comes from space.
So how did molten iron fly through space in exactly?
It was in
Yeah,
the
but are they
core.
claiming-
It was in the core of a planet called Theia. So while the timeline would suggest that our core
right.
would have cooled down by now, well, it hasn't, because we were smashed at a glancing blow by a planet on a very similar orbital path to us that kept missing us, and then eventually didn't miss us. It smashed into us and deposited its molten iron core, and the leftover shit coalesced to become the moon. That's why the moon's basically the same as us, because it is us. The debris from the collision between Theia and fledgling Earth. And it's true
So
because they made it up themselves.
So are they claiming that the moon is iron?
But look, if one planet originally presupposedly smashed into the pre-molten iron core Earth, wouldn't there just be a lot of debris at this this orbital circle around the sun? Wouldn't there be still a lot of meteor shit left over from all that? Or was that all then eventually did that hit the face of the moon?
Whatever you like, man. Just whatever you like. It's just a story. They can make it up literally.
How
if
do you think you got your iron skillet, Arwen? Just accept it.
Don't forget, Superman landed there too.
Look, don't even get me started. Do you know how gold's supposed to have been created?
Go ahead, tell us.
Yeah,
It's
the fusion
forged.
in the sun, right?
Go on, Garwin. Sounds like you got the right answer.
Yeah, it's supposed all the heaviest of metals are all created by the nuclear fusion in the sun.
In a supernova.
all-
That's correct. So essentially, that
And then
process
it
of
explodes.
becoming heavier and heavier metals takes place only, according to their rhetoric, upon supernova star explosion, and then those elements get, pushed out into the rest of the cosmos, and if we're lucky enough, some of them hit us. But all of these heavy elements, according to their bullshit made-up story, come from the heart of a dying star.
You know, the funny thing is, I didn't hear one scientific fact there.
I just told you, it's true because they made it up themselves.
They're just silver-tongued devils. Don't believe them.
Yeah, as far as I'm
That's
aware,
so,
gold is only found in the rock, in the ground. I've never heard of supposedly meteors depositing bits of gold. Never heard of it.
Anyway, moving on. Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
No, we killed that one on Saturday.
Is that it? No?
It's dead. It died.
Nobody in Discord.
I think that only models have a radius value.
Yeah, that's correct. Well, that concludes how to
Where are all the rebuttals to the supposed physical edge? Where are the rebuttals to why we're seeing past 9 miles when we can only see past 1?
It's only Tuesday, so Bullbusters came out on Saturday. Maybe they're taking their sweet time getting their edits together, and, you know, these things don't come immediately. Maybe they weren't aware of it until Bullbusters went out. Maybe they haven't seen Bullbusters number 30 and the absolute demolition that is the claimed geometric measurement to a physical location sphere edge. Well.
Hey, Nathan.
Go on.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, I think it was last week, we're talking about models, and you said that models aren't reality. And that, I don't think a lot of people understand that concept. And even I didn't at the time, but I completely understand what you mean now. Like, for example, if I was to show you like a stuffed animal, like a hyena, like one of the hyenas you used to sell a long time ago, and I told you that this stuffed animal was actually a hyena, you wouldn't believe me because it's not. It's a stuffed animal. It's a representation of something, but it's not that thing that it's representing. So with the globe model, that's the evidence that they provide us with. They give us a model, and they tell us that this model that they're showing us is where we live. But they're not showing us where we live. They're showing us a model. But they don't seem to realize that. They don't seem to realize that they're reifying something that isn't real by using a model and saying that this model is where we are. Perhaps they do understand it, but I just feel like maybe they don't, because how could you not understand such a simple concept?
Because it normally comes with a load of complicated sounding explanations for things that they claim they understand how to describe in reality based on the model. So in your analogy with a model hyena, let's say that instead of it just being a stuffed toy, somebody's gone to the effort of taking and scanning with, you know, layers that they've taken, so they freeze the thing and then slice the thing so that they've got absolutely microscopic detail, and then they recreate it with a, I don't know, 3D printer, and they print out every intricate detail of the hyena and then present it to you. And they show you the intestines and they say this particular part is here to pump the blood around the animal. And they show you on the model and describe based on no scientific justification, just their explanation based on what they see. And they say, based on this model, this is what happens. It pumps the blood round. Then they bring in a real hyena and go, there you go. So that hyena's got its blood being pumped around by its intestines. Now, because you've got a model, and it's a really accurate model, and you can explain something about the way it physically is perceived, or looks in your model, does that mean that you're right in your explanation about the real hyena and how it works? Well, not necessarily. You might have guessed right, but it's still ultimately just a guess based on a model. Now, you might have really accurately modelled the hyena, but does that mean that your description of what the model, or the physicality of the hyena, more importantly, actually does is correct? No, it doesn't.
It's mostly just based on data.
Exactly. And a lot of people say that it doesn't really matter what the shape of Earth is, if it's flat or a globe. It's inconsequential. But that's true for a majority of people. Like, there are no ramifications for what your epistemology is. But the only people that seem to actually care is the globe zealots, the people that we deal with on a daily basis. And that's because
not even true.
This is their
No, I disagree with
say
that.
something?
He wants to disagree with Pat that it doesn't make any difference, but if you can wait, he's got a different point. So yes, I noted 10th man. Once he's finished his point, yeah, we'll get back to it. How big a difference it makes.
Right. For 10th man, it's inconsequential in the terms that it doesn't have any practical use. For example, if I'm a pilot, I don't care what the shape of the Earth is. All I need to know is the distance to the destination that I'm traveling to, the visibility during that day that I'm going to be flying, and the amount of gas that's in my tank. Maybe I might need to know how many passengers are in the plane, but I definitely don't need to know what the shape of the Earth is. It's inconsequential. It has no practical use. It only has ramifications for the zealots because it's their epistemology, it's their worldview, it's how they see things. So I've been wondering why is it that for us guys, when we look at images of Earth from space as proof of Earth being a sphere, all those images appear to be fake to us, but to these other people, they look at them and they accept them as real. And I've been trying to understand this from a psychological standpoint. Like, what is it about those guys that makes them look at those images and say that they're real? And I'm starting to get an idea of what it is. And it has to do with supremacy and imperialism. Like, a lot of people that live in the Western world or in first world countries have this supremacist or imperialist idea that they're superior to everybody else, technologically and economically. Like, we're the pinnacle of existence compared to other parts of the world. You know, we've put satellites in space, we've landed men on the moon, so we're far superior to savages that are living in huts in other countries and haven't, done as much as we have. This is the mindset that these people have. So they can't be wrong. It's a narcissistic mindset where everything they do is right because they're superior to everyone. And this is how these zealots look at us. They're like, there's no way we can be wrong. We're superior intellectually to you. We understand math and physics, and you don't. And this is the language they use to describe their worldview. They can only use math and physics. So that's why they ask us to challenge them on that front. They're like, okay, tell us how the math doesn't work, or tell us how the physics doesn't work, or explain to us how the physics and the math work on your model, because that's the language that they use to describe their worldview, math and physics. The reason
I'd like to get back to. Hold on a second. I'd like to interrupt your monologue.
Sitting on it for a while.
That was a long
I'd like
monologue.
to interrupt your monologue for a second. You said that pilots, the shape of the Earth would have no practical use. The Earth is spinning, and it's a sphere. Then you're going to have to take that into account, right?
That's correct.
They don't. But they don't. They don't care if the Earth is spinning.
I want to rattle these off one at a time. Sorry, Babs, bear with me. What you're saying is they don't take any of this into account, but no, in reality that means they're actually accounting for flying over a flat plane. Because if they accounted for drop, then they'd have a very swift problem. Well, they don't account for drop because they're not accounting for being on a globe, which is why they don't have a problem. But if they did account for being on a globe, they would have a problem. So your assertion was incorrect in that regard. Now, QE, I'm sure you've got a list of other things, but I did promise 10th man he'd get to the importance factor.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead, 10th man.
You know what? Arwen's hurt, so I'll let him go first, and then I'll go next.
Arwen's hurt? He's not a bloody snowflake. I'm sure he can wait till you've gone first.
God.
Go ahead, 10th.
It's just a short point, really. Yeah. But because the guy started out talking about how it's all like this superior attitude, and I kind of disagree. Not every glober has that necessarily, although a lot of do contract that behavior, but it's secondary. The primary thing that keeps the ball from being dispelled to them is that they have been conditioned to double down to prevent the pain from sinking in. It's very instinctive reaction, and that helps conceal the insight from their consciousness, and it makes them feel safe when that process happens.
Okay.
And secondary.
No,
is
hold on, Owen.
America.
You said it would be quick. 10th man. So it was expressed by Babs that it's inconsequential to your average Joe if the Earth is flat, and you objected. Please feel free. Go ahead.
Yes. Babs, can you tell me why it's inconsequential to live in a lie?
It's inconsequential for most people because they have other priorities. They don't care about
That's
what
not
the
the
shape of the
question.
Earth
That's
is.
not the question. Are there consequences at some point if you live in a lie?
Of course they are, yeah.
Okay, so then it is consequential, and you're wrong.
Well, to them, it's inconsequential. Like their
They
mindset
haven't
is it
figured
doesn't matter.
I'm saying when it's apparent one day there's going to be a consequence. But how many years passed without consequences because of the lie? So there are consequences to everything. There's consequences when you have the truth, and there's consequences when you have a lie. Are you disagreeing with me?
No, there are consequences to believing in a lie.
Perfect.
Of
So,
course.
okay,
I'm not
that's what he
disagreeing
challenged
with
you on. Fine. Arwin, did you want to get your second point in, and then we'll go to QE?
Yeah, I made my point. Sorry. I hope it got through.
Yeah, it did get through, but you said and secondarily.
No. What I said is that the arrogant attitude and the it's our side against their side is really a secondary effect. It's not the primary. It's what they fall back to basically protect, to keep it covered up. It's to distract them. They polarize it. They politicize it. All that. That comes secondary because primary is that they double down on what they've went with all their life.
Yeah, but that sounds like that sounds like the seasoned.
It's basically just cognitive dissonance.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead, Flatsoid.
I said that sounds like the seasoned globe troller we talk about, though. When you talk to normal globers, they actually have quite an open mind, I have to say.
Right, because hey, it's up to them whether they double down or not.
Hey, Adam, and then
what I said is the arrogance and all that. That is secondary to the doubling down. It's not a primary thing. It's sorry. It's just a detail.
no worries.
Never mind.
Hey,
Continue,
Adam.
guys.
Hey, Adam. Can you hear us?
Sorry, muted. Hi, guys. Afternoon.
Good to have you. Did you want to add something, Fenris? Sorry, cut you off earlier to let Arwin finish off.
Oh no, you didn't cut me off. I actually cut off Arwen, or whoever it was. I was just saying it's basically cognitive dissonance. I mean, if you consent to believe something, and then it's kind of incentivized by everyone else to believe in it, or else you're ostracized, then like it becomes a protection, kind of like what Arwen's talking about. It's basically just like, oh no, this conflicts with my worldview. It makes him uncomfortable because kind of this just society in general pushes you towards certainty and having like complete pictures of things. So then being uncertain and being critical is devalued, and you know, kind of that whole process goes.
So you're kind of describing having a group conformity, which, if not adhered to, results in ostracization, if that's the correct word.
Yes.
There's another
exile.
Exile, that's the one. There's another word that describes that type of group of people.
Oh man, I don't know.
I'll tell you. A cult.
Yeah, it's very culty.
Yep.
The globe's a cult.
But also, the typical thing is if you don't know that the globe may potentially be alive, if you're all baseline going that it should be as it is, you're always going to find yourself among other people that may potentially really hate any opposition to it for personal reasons, that have gone deeper into the darkness through it. And yeah, when you then get any doubts, you'll find yourself surrounded by your opponents if you go with those doubts. So it's also kind of a social mechanical setup. It's very tough to overcome.
I agree. I agree with that, and that's why right now in the community, in the globe community in particular, we can see that there is hierarchy as well. We have the main protagonists, the people that claim to understand the rhetoric of math and physics, and they're the people that are under them that are being sort of schooled and taught. And this is worldview reinforcement. So, for example, with like Billy Blue Balls and George and Rumpus, these are the so-called globe protagonists that have studied math and physics and understand how the model works. So they have such an understanding that they're able to explain it to other people. And I feel like if you can't explain a concept to someone, then you don't understand it. But the people that are under them, like the toadies and the farmers' boys, they don't understand the rhetoric or the math or the physics. So they rely on these people to reinforce their worldview. And that's what we see going on in this community. And it's the same supremacist, imperialist mindset that I was talking about before, where they're in some kind of a symbiotic relationship. You know, like in porn movies, they have these girls that are called fluffers, and they walk around with like lotion and like jerk off the guys in between the porn scenes just to make sure the cocks stay hard. So that's kind of like what Toady and Farmer's Boy.
So funny.
That's kind of like that's a role, that's a purpose that Toady and Farmer's Boy serve. They
can't stop that
are there to
analogy,
make
given-
sure that all the main protagonists are nice and oiled up and greased up.
Okay, don't have to get any more detailed. Yeah, it's akin to. Yeah, no more
That is
detail.
so
Thank you. I'm just saying it's yes. I'm going to let the analogy slide on account of the fact that Sleeping Warrior often describes it as them holding each other's willies, and that's kind of what you're saying.
Exactly.
Well, let me
So
offer.
the-
Let me offer a really good
Chris, Matt,
IQ
you
test
really
right
need
now.
to work on making points and stopping, like having a rest period in between.
Thank you.
I'm kind of long-winded.
Sometimes you make a point and then you just don't stop. It like goes on forever.
That's okay.
If I was going to circumnavigate, sorry for the use of the word, with your long-windedness, I would get a sailboat.
Okay, very good. Right, Paul.
All right.
Are you there?
Oh, I was going to go.
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning,
Right,
everyone.
Wait, you didn't get back to me.
Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry, Kiwi. Sorry, Paul. Can you wait a few more minutes?
I didn't. Go ahead.
No, you called my name. No, go ahead, QE. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kiwi.
Yeah, I didn't have any more points. I just hit that point.
What the fuck? You having me on?
That was good.
No, but you said you were going to get back with me because you said you presumed I had a list. I just had 1 point, and you said, "Well, we'll get back to QE after Arwen," and then you didn't get back to me.
I'm sorry. Is there any more?
I don't have any more points. That was it.
Okie doke. Well, you might after Paul's gone, so I'll come to you first. Right, Paul, I've got you on screen. I'll just make you look pretty. Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Well, I was just thinking, I couldn't get to this fast enough when you guys asked the question about the rebuttal, about the presentation. And Danik posted this image as a rebuttal, I think, or something to say about atmospheric, refraction or whatever. But I realized that after I looked at this video, he just shot himself in the foot. Don't even realize it. Look at the image to the left. You can tell that the platform in the background is kind of magnified and it's dropped on the horizon. But the one on the right, it's more up, but the platform looks like it's further back. It's in perspective, which means it shows us like it's in perspective. I guess you guys, remember what Rob Skiba did. You see this, where he put the magnifying lens in front of the, and it shows the sun dropping behind the lens.
you make it bigger?
Yeah, hang on.
Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, he put a magnifying lens in front, and as he moved the sun back, it drops. You know what I mean? Because of the magnification, but it maintained this relative size. One of the arguments I was saying about the horizon yesterday is like, this is obviously the one that QE shared on the show. You can almost tell that this is perspective because the rig looks smaller and it's risen a little bit higher, you know, on the thing in the picture. And although, you know, I kept telling it to Zanuck yesterday, it's like he brought up something about he didn't want to address perspective in this because it's just obviously perspective. And there's a little bit of distortion of the oil rig in the back, but it's definitely smaller and it seems to match up with perspective pretty clearly, pretty consistently. But this original image here shoots himself in the foot because it's the one on the left. If it's magnified and it's dropping the oil rig behind it, it's the magnification, the refraction causing the oil rig to sink and to be magnified. Has nothing to do with an edge. You understand what I'm driving at? What I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, he's segued away from the actual point in regards to where the horizon's located.
Right. He doesn't want to focus on that. Obviously, never. But even in this, the atmosphere magnified the oil rig and dropped it behind the so-called curve because it's obviously that you could see in his own image. The oil rig magnified.
I see what you're saying now. It's the reverse of what he would expect, even though he's using it to claim proof. I like it.
Right. And this is his own thing. It's not me. I mean, you can go back to the live stream and find where Zanuck posted this. It's not me.
Paul, does he give a distance for both those platforms?
I don't think so. I don't remember. I was working when I listened to them dialogue about this yesterday. So I didn't.
Well, if he was interested in distance and horizon, he would have posted the distances. But obviously, he's trying to hijack the point by changing the argument about the horizon where it could be and not be to the oil rigs.
Right. Well, I know our argument is the horizon should be in front of the first oil rig. If at 1 foot observation, the horizon should be in front of that first oil rig. But anyway, I'm just trying to say he's shot himself in the foot with this one because I don't know. Anyway, I think you guys understand it. What I'm trying to say. At least I hope so. Anyway.
No, I got it. He avoided showing the distances because it would kill his horizon argument. So he shows the differences in two shots, but doesn't focus on the argument, which is the horizon.
Right. Exactly.
It looks like those two shots are taken from different angles, anyways. If you look closely, it honestly looks like the one on the left is shot from a lower angle.
It's hard to say. I mean, without all the specifics, it's hard to say. But he says here same location, same elevation, same different days. So if we're going by
that's
just
what it
he's
says, but
saying,
it looks like it's turned slightly. It looks like it's taken from a different elevation to me.
But he's proving our point.
Yeah,
I know, that's my point.
He's proving perspective, not curves.
In order to make his red herring argument, he's got to prove our point again, and he has. But obviously, he's not arguing our point. It's a red herring. But thanks for your red herring that proves our point further that you haven't addressed. Really, really well done.
There you go.
So is he trying to claim that refraction perspective is actual just curve?
Yeah, his argument yesterday, and he actually said it. I think he when QE was on there for a little while, but that on the right hand image, that's looming. That literally looming is brought the oil rig and the horizon up above the curve. So he would say on the right hand side would be looming, not actually probably what you would see in perspective.
That doesn't make sense. It's like flattening out the curve, in other words.
Right. The looming flattens out the curve. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, what they require is a geometric flattening. In other words, rolling out the world to be flat as it appears in the images. When what they're describing is light bending through ever increasing layers of refractive, but it just, it doesn't match. They need to flatten out the land because it's flat. And bending light around a presupposed edge that we don't see isn't doing that. So they're screwed. This episode 30 of Bullbusters is like a little scoreline underneath a lot of things that we've discussed. Reifying edges of spheres, models, all of this stuff has sort of come to a nice fine tip that they've got no way around. It's devastating. They don't have an edge.
And they do. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, the conclusion is they don't have an edge. They need one. They've got an edge of a ball that's obscuring things, boats are going over it, etc., etc. They don't have that. They're fucked.
Well, and I think they pull out the refraction when it benefits them, but when it doesn't benefit them, they stay away from it. So I think I've noticed that too as well.
Right, QE, you there? Wouldn't want to forget you now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Do you agree? Bullbusters 30 will be a punctuation mark in this discussion?
Hopefully. I don't know if everyone's going to run with it. It looks like people just want to argue, right? Rather than get to the point. Right? That's the way I see it.
Can I ask you a question,
wanna-
QE?
Go ahead, 10th man.
Since Ballbusters 30 shows that there's no such thing as spherical trigonometry, what does this do?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Since Ballbusters 30 proved by the obvious fact that the horizon is further than 1.22 miles, then what does that do to their so-called spherical trigonometry jargon when all along it's plain trigonometry they've been using?
Yeah, their ball's dead. Sorry.
No ball, no spherical trigonometry.
Well, no edge. No spherical trigonometry. They need an edge. I mean, there's certain chat trolls that are saying, a sphere doesn't have an edge. Well, you can say that, but you require one to obscure things in the distance as they get too small to see. With perspective. That's what's claimed to be obstructing them. The fact that they're teeny tiny and in the distance getting smaller and smaller and smaller till they disappear, that's irrelevant in your geometric model with an earth curve edge obscuring stuff in the distance. Boats going over it, etc., etc. You need an edge. Your model's got an edge, and you think, because you reify that model, that the horizon is a physical edge that's obscuring things in the distance. That's what you argued about with us for 100, 200, 300 shows when we started debate. So, yeah, you've got an edge in your model, but not in reality. That's a big problem, and it proves we're not living on a sphere.
My exact point. So they can never be using spherical trigonometry as they want us. They keep using that begging the question word.
Unless they show us the edge. That's why it's a housekeeping question now. Are you...
I want to give some shout outs to Jared because he actually was on it yesterday, hammering this and talking about. He kind of sounded like us. He's like, "Where's the edge? You guys have an edge, guys. Where is it?" You know.
Well, I hope this. Yeah. That really cheers me up because I hope this does resonate with people on our side of the argument, because especially people like Jaron, who's been in the argument for a long time. I'm pretty certain he will have lost count of the amount of times people will have strawmanned him in his comment section going, "Oh yeah, you think boats go over the edge?" Doesn't that now sound awfully familiar to the sentence I stated about 30 seconds ago? The ballers have got an edge, boats go over it, and you go, holy crap, their picture of the flat earth that they strawman us with has literally got a boat going over an edge, and they ask us to take us there. No. Take us to your physical edge. that your boats go over, because you're measuring that physicality, which you haven't got in reality, with geometry. Yeah, amazing, isn't it? They challenged us for an edge, told us about an edge, talk about boats going over the flat earth edge. And yet it's them with an edge and boats going over it. It's got a physicality to obscure things. Amazing, isn't it? So I hope it does. Hope it resonates with a lot of flat earthers and they go around telling globeheads, what do you mean edge? You're the one with the edge, Fundy. You've got boats going over it, you moron.
Yeah, he was also giving props to the new question that's come out because of this. So, yep. Shout out to Jeremy.
Do a couple of quick super chat shout outs. Shout out to Cleary. The edge has reached its vanishing point. Absolutely epic. I love the super chats when they're like concise and on point, because you've got to think of a really concise way of getting into a super chat because you're limited for words. I'm going to say that again, Cleary. That was ace. The edge has reached its vanishing point. Spot on. Godzilla 37, also a massive shout out for your super chat. Shout out retracted to Big Kahunas and NASA Warrior. Thank you very much for the super chat, Godzilla 37.
I want a shirt with that on.
Yeah, moon landings fake. What did you say? Sorry, Flatsoid.
I said I like a shirt with that quote on.
Yeah, it's definitely fit on a t-shirt, right? The edge has reached its vanishing point. Yeah, massive shout out to Taboo Conspiracy, because it's sort of him that started this avalanche. Because even I hadn't put two and two together, even though he got me to make a specific quote about the reified edge of a sphere not being the horizon. Well, in terms of what they're doing in their mathematics and what that necessitates for their model and what they perceive in their reality on a globe that they're not standing on, I didn't even put two and two together. And then when QE came to me and went, look, this is a really important point, I was like, yeah, seems a bit squirrely. Until the penny dropped, and I'm like, holy shit, yeah, physical edge, that's what they've got to have. It's not just a sentence about the reification of the model. In reality, they're saying what we're looking at on screen now is a physical edge. Not just the arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground and varies with your visibility on the day. No, that's a physical sphere edge according to them that you're looking at here. Well, it isn't. It's the horizon. It's a not actual location. It doesn't have a postcode.
What about gravity is not a physical force, Nathan? That'd fit on a t-shirt, wouldn't it?
You asking me to play again?
And then on the back, you can put what you can think of it as one.
Gravity is not a physical force.
Love it.
Where's Sleeping Warrior when you need him?
Oh, he's playing a game at the minute. I've tried to ask him to come on, but he's busy.
Busy playing a computer game. Oh, priorities.
Wait, what game?
Who cares? What game?
Beat the Globe Earther,
I want to know.
You're a gamer, aren't you? I can tell.
Yeah. I mean, I like some games. I have like one game right now I like, but I don't really play it that often. I like to read more than I like to play games.
Yeah, I'm not into games, but I do watch speedrunners. The way of unwinding, watching other people with vast amounts of unnecessary skill in something that basically achieves nothing in life.
It's honestly like it's pretty entertaining sometimes, but
I love it.
Then I get all self-conscious and I'm like, why am I doing this?
I absolutely love it. Watching somebody beat Super Mario in under 5 minutes. Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
And they're really, I'll use their vernacular, salty. So they're all quite backbitey and bitchy. And there's like a lot of cheating. And it's a really interesting community, the speedrunning community. So there's a guy, I think he's called RG Goose or something like that. And he just sort of breaks apart all the various different backbiting and cheating and all the rest of it, along with all the good speedruns that people achieve when they're actually talented and not cheating.
Right. Yeah, I remember I saw one about, I think it was Super Mario Bros. On the N64, and how they like figured out how to go up the never-ending staircase, and they actually like got up it or something, and it took like 24 hours or something like that.
Right. Yeah, breaking the barrier and all those things. Anyway, let's move away from games for a second. The only thing I was going to tack on to the end to segue back was back in the day, probably 18 months, 2 years ago, you had Infinite Plane Society doing chat room raids, and he'd take his whole audience to some random streamer who was live at the time and spam their chat with Flat Earth, which I must admit I did do once or twice. It was quite amusing. But in one instance, it actually was completely thwarted by the gamer that was being spammed because she had members. So she pressed her members only button and the problem was solved instantly. She's like, I'll just turn on members only chat. Bye Flat Earthers. And they all disappeared. It was great. And ever since then I'm like, I really want members.
Can we do a cognitive dissonance cult wake up test?
Yeah.
Chocolate, can you post that screenshot of that paragraph I read earlier on the celestial sphere?
Oh, I'm kind of busy with my hands right now.
Somebody in Master B, you can see
I'll
the
do it.
screenshot.
Thanks.
I'll do it.
Paul's on the case.
Thank you, Paul.
Do you need me to do something?
No, just go up and I'll read it, and then let's see if this is a good test for cognitive dissonance that Bab was talking about. Consequence. Oh, here it is. Celestial sphere is a large sphere centered on the Earth and having the same center point and rotational axis. Imagine that all celestial objects are located on the inside of a non-rotating celestial sphere. As the Earth rotates within the celestial sphere, west to east, an observer on the Earth will see celestial objects move across the sky in the middle of the sphere, east to west. Because the celestial sphere is tilted to the same axis of rotation as the Earth, celestial objects move across the sky in arcs, centered on Earth's polar axis. Note that the celestial sphere is imaginary and does not actually exist. Baller, any ballers? When you read that, do you just swallow it, or do you say, what? Something's wrong with that. What do you mean imaginary? Is it actually happening? Is this a kick to get you thinking? Or are you going to stay in the matrix?
Any ballers?
We had it earlier, unless it's deja vu. Why did we get it again? Were you just trying to tempt out the ballers with the doublespeak?
I have another thing from a NASA document, but I just wanted to throw this out first because this is from an astronomy site.
Okay.
And I'm just seeing if anyone will step up as a baller and tell me if that's a bit bothering to them, the way this is worded.
No,
Okay,
no challenge.
No baller. All right. So off of this NASA document, it's talking about the celestial sphere. And I'll just go down to, and I'll post this as well in Master B, but I'll just go to the last paragraph. We, of course, know that it's not the universe that rotates around us from east to west, but our Earth is the one rotating from west to east. See, know that end. But it's still convenient to talk about the rotation of the celestial sphere. That could also make the sky rotate the way it is observed to do.
Not real then.
They're saying you're observing that the sky is rotating, and in doublespeak they're saying it isn't, but we are saying this because that's the way on Earth you observe it.
Yeah, that's the way they observe it when they juxtapose their model with what we observe based on the movement of the stars, and then cancel out at the end by saying, no, it's only Earth turning.
Mm-hmm. Is this going to wake you up, NASA lovers? They're telling you right there. They're telling you right there.
I don't know, man. I don't think this is going to have any effect on anybody. 10th man.
Just a try. Just a try.
I got something for you, though.
Okay.
Big Chungus in the chat. He saw the turbine images and was saying, let me just quote exactly what he said. He said, the pic on screen at the moment debunks the FE, unless those wind turbines to work half in water, half in air, LOL, right? So I responded.
Hold on. The ones I've got on now?
Not those particular ones, no, but the other ones.
They're the same ones.
Oh, yeah, they are the same turbines, yeah. So I put...
hold on. Let's dwell on this for a few moments. So the ones he was asking you about, the ones he was asking you about were cascading into the distance, a la perspective. But yet when we get side onto them, what do you know? They're all completely level. Now, shockingly, there are ones that are further in the distance with perspective, but all of the ones that are adjacent to it on this left to right, they all match on the same line. That's why there's all these lines drawn on them, because they're all perfectly flat.
But don't you know, Nathan, this is going to be the ball argument. Don't you know, Nathan, but when you're standing on top of a ball, when you look around, it looks flat. Come on. Don't you get it?
No, what's happening is these are cascading into the distance with perspective. They're getting further and further away, and smaller as they do so, closer and closer to the deck. That's what happens with perspective. You know, if you're standing next to something, you could be looking up. The angle, you're looking up, i.e. your head's tilted upwards. But as you get further away from it, your head gradually gets closer and closer to the horizon as it gets smaller and closer to the horizon. That's perspective. And even though it may appear that you can juxtapose a perspective omitting calculation onto this effect and call it Earth curve. Look, they're falling around Earth curve. No, they're getting smaller with distance. It's perspective. Here they are side on, all perfectly level. Look, none of them are curving around the Earth, mate. Not one of them. They don't do that. They're all nice and level. Although it did look that way when you look down the line of them, and that effect is what you've hijacked geometrically.
Can I get to the conclusion of this point, Nate?
Go ahead, Ranty.
So when he sees these turbine blades apparently cresting the waves, this is what he's talking about. So I put, Big Chungus, you believe in terrestrial refraction, right? Okay, in that case, look up sinking, right? Now, we all know that in the globe model, the sinking is the same as looming, but it's the other way around. And do you know what his response was? You ready for this? So it's magic perspective then.
Wow.
Oh, you've got to laugh at this guy.
That's precious.
I like how he's on the same wavelength as us guys. Magic, looming, magic perspective. Thank you, Big Chungus.
I like it when newbies come along and see the pictures on screen and go, ha, glow proof. Like, oh man, 2017, eat your heart out.
So last decade, Nathan.
Yeah. They don't appreciate that their calculations are put 90 degrees adjacent to the actual observation that's being studied. In other words, you'd study the first image we showed in that series, which is the turbines looking like they're cascading over a claim to be curve of the Earth. What, that physical edge they're curving over? Yeah, we'll come back to that maybe. Nevertheless, they have to take that image and then put it side on. Now, when we put it side on, everything suddenly looks flat. But when they put it side on, they're not actually taking the picture from the side. They're just taking the front on elevation that you take the picture of and then sticking you in the image. You've got the side of your own head in Muppet Vision, orthographic view. What that does is it makes the first turbine the same exact feet and inches measurement as the last turbine. Well, they're all 100 meters high. So the last one should be 100 meters high. Well, no, it's further away. But that's totally ignored in the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve calculator. It would say no, it's still 100 meters. The reason it's dropped isn't because it's got smaller, narrowing the angle. It's because it's gone over the Earth curve. Look, side on geometrically, it's the only explanation when you maintain the 100-meter measurement that would be exactly the same if you put it 1,000,000 miles away. Oh, well, it's still 100 meters high. Yeah, but it's really, really small now. It's 1,000,000 miles away. No, it's just much further around Earth curve geometrically.
If people tune into the after show, Nathan, I will present an image done by Slice K, none less. They're one of their hierarchy of the globe proponents, proving that what you've just said is actually reality.
Cool. Well, with that, excellent plug from Ranty. I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smash the membership joining button, super chat, share, all that good stuff. And of course, a massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley channel. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
I don't think we got through all the housekeeping questions, did we?
Yeah, we did. You listen back on the after show when this goes out. What's being recorded now?
Will do.
Okay.
So,
what's up,
Fight
Riley?
the Flat Earth said what?
Hey, Anthony.
He's made the most disingenuous concession I've ever heard. And he did it just for me. I asked him to concede that gravity was a force, otherwise I'm not even having a conversation with him.
Force.
So he's conceded that gravity is not a physical force. That's not the concession I asked for. And he's also conceded it just for me. And that's not also what I asked for. I asked for a general concession
Gravity
to his
is not
subs
a
that
physical
gravity
force.
is not a force, and he won't do it.
Yeah.
How's a force if it's not a physical force?
Well, who cares? He hasn't done what I asked him to do, and he's just the most disingenuous sack of shit I've ever come across. If you want to,
I'd agree with that.
Yes, about the flat Earth. You need
Is
to
that a non-joining?
to your subs that gravity is not a force. That's
Sorry, Anthony. Somebody screamed over the top of you.
saying if Fight the Flat Earth wants to discuss anything with me, he has to concede to his audience, not to me, not just only to me, to his audience, that gravity is not a force, not a physical force, an actual force. Gravity is not a force to your audience, because your dumbass audience are influenced by you telling them what they want to hear, the comforting lie. That's the point, Fight the Flat Earth. So if you want to discuss anything with me, concede it to your audience, not to me, to your audience, and do it sincerely, because that is your current science. Einstein, not Newton, Einstein. I'm done.
Thank you very much. What you got, Ranty?
All right, so wait, Riley. So my question is, why would he concede that to you, but then what? So he doesn't count that as conceding to his audience? He's saying
No,
it
no,
to you.
he did it specifically just to me, just to you, Riley. And I'm like, generally, not just to me, to everybody that you've misled. And don't forget, he did start that vendetta of hate against me on that point. And for him to slip it in a live stream where he's actually attacking Nathan, no cunt's ever going to see that. Not in my favor. He has to concede it generally to his audience and be sincere about it. You were wrong. Gravity's not a force.
Yeah, but wasn't the whole point that you were wrong? So it doesn't, just by him conceding to you, doesn't that make him wrong, whether his audience sees it or not? Like, I don't.
Yeah, but it's not. He hasn't done enough. He's limited it to just me, and he's diluted it from being a force to not being a physical force, and that's not the concession. Gravity's not a force; it's an effect. That's the word you need to say, an effect, because that's your science.
It's sarcastic because he just said it to you just to keep the conversation with you going.
Ah, fuck. I mean, there is no conversation with me. I'm just I ignore and I remove every comment he makes on anything of mine, just because the only way to get it across to him that he's being disingenuous, lying, and misleading people, and it's just not okay.
Right, Ranty, do you want me to present you? Ranty. Ladies and gentlemen, Ranty Flat Earth.
There we go. I was on mute. My mistake. Right. Okay. Guys, if all of you guys can click my icon to look at this image, because I have a question for you all. Now, this image that Nathan and I talked about quite a lot, and he's got it on his backdrops on quite a lot of the shows. This is an image of some turbines that I filmed from Cleveland's. Now, Slice Barcane kindly modeled out a flat, what these should look like on a flat plane and what these should look like on a globe. So I'm going to ask you guys, on the right-hand side and the left-hand side are the two models that he made up. So that was the exact distances, the height of the turbines, my height above sea level, etc. So he was able to model these. So both of these images, one on the right, one on the left, one is a globe and one is a flat. So can you guys tell me which of these images you think is the globe one and which one you think is the flat plane?
Well, they're both the same. They both look exactly the same.
No accumulated curve on one of them. There should be.
Have a bash. Come on, guys. They are different. They are slightly different.
Oh, okay. One on the left
The one on the right is the globe.
There you go.
You say the one on the right's the globe. Right, so who else says the one on the right's the globe?
I said the one on the left's the globe, the one on the right's flat Earth.
I'll have the one in the middle.
Right, okay, so the result is, here we go. So this is his modeling out. If you look at the bottoms, the one on the left is the flat plane and the one on the right is the globe. Now, as you can see, he's lowered the globe to the additional curvature calc, so it is actually lowering it down. But can you tell me, does this in any way, shape or form match this? Does that match that? I think the angle on that is far too steep.
Well, no, hold on. There's one thing that's different, but you didn't show us this before, unless I missed it. So on the image on the right, you've got these little legs that you can see through the water.
Yes.
Well, that's not on the actual picture.
No, apparently that's behind the edge, Nathan.
Well, that's his presupposition of an edge. So this line that's being drawn... Hold on. So what you're saying is, in the middle picture, this is the physical edge of a sphere now. Oh, we're back to it having an edge. So when he's drawing these lines that go underneath the edge, he's just representing what we can't actually see, but he presupposes, and implying that this is an edge blocking what he's actually showing us. Why is he showing us what we can't see down here? Is it just to make you understand that he's presupposed a sphere?
Well, I think the point here is that I used this here to demonstrate the two that he put together. So obviously this is the globe one, this is the flat one. And yeah, like you're saying, he's put this down behind the curve to show that this is dropping more substantially than this one on the left. However, this is going smaller due to perspective, simple, same as that. This is going smaller due to perspective with a little bit of Earth curve on top. But essentially, there's no difference. There is no difference between any of them. And let me just tell you now that these angles match up more to a flat plane than they do to a globe. This is too steep. This is not identical to this, but it's much closer to this. The flat is much closer to reality than the globe. But taking away from
hold
this,
on.
taking away from this,
This is a total misrepresentation then, because if his right-hand image is claimed to be globe including perspective, well, that's not how the globe mathematics calculates the geometry. It doesn't include what he's included on this right-hand image. This would include an angular size reduction then.
yeah, this is what the models showed.
No.
If you put these.
No, that's what his model shows, but that's not how you calculate it.
But ultimately, the point to take away here is that they both look pretty much the same. So
Only
when
because-
you see
no,
this
no.
effect, when you see
No.
this effect, it can't be
don't.
demonstrated that this is one and this is another.
Ranty, let Nathan speak. You've missed
Okay,
the point.
sure, yeah, go on.
His model on the right-hand side is a computer-generated model of Earth curve plus perspective. Now, ultimately, his mathematics, when they run any image through the Earth curve mathematics, does not do that. So he's showing that the furthest turbine is a reduction in terms of its angular size, i.e. perspective. But in the Earth curve maths, the furthest turbine should be the same size as the closest turbine. They're the same physical size, 100 meters. So in other words, the only bit we should be seeing should be the bit that he's got dipping down below his reified edge of a globe. That's the actual Earth curve calculations according to him. Now, perspective-wise, he's incorporated both where the globe maths do not. They exclude it by putting it in Muppet Vision and attributing the size of each turbine 100 meters. Well, clearly, in this drawing, the rear turbine on the right-hand side is not the same 100-meter value as the closest one. It's smaller, so he's got it wrong. The maths are wrong on the right-hand model because he should have that furthest turbine the same 100 meters as the closest one. He's clearly put it in smaller, unlike the maths that doesn't do that. So his model might be doing that, but the curves maths don't do that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, that was the point, Ranty, that you were missing. He's not reduced to the actuals. What he's done is he's done it in like a first-person orthographic view rather than a first-person perspective view.
Anyway.
I'd joined a bit later, but just looking at those two things, it looks like it's only been half applied. You've done perspective on one and then dropped the other one, but on the right. But the one on the right should have the perspective applied and then the drop. So it should be even more, because even on a globe, perspective applies still. So you do the perspective first, then you do the additional cumulative drop onto the right-hand side one. But it just looks like there's no perspective applied to the right-hand side, just drop.
That's not how it looks visually, because if it was just drop, if you actually had the line of each one measuring up to each other, then they'd match. But the bit that's going below the horizon is less. It's a tiny amount compared to the drop at the top. So if you look at his curved line down here at the bottom for the audience only, you've got a tiny amount getting over the edge of his reified edge of a sphere. Well, it's only a tiny amount, but the amount that they're dropping from here is much, much more. So therefore, it does seem that he's included perspective in this particular representation. If it was only Earth curve drop, you'd expect this to the bottom bit that it's dropping below the blue reified Earth curve edge to match the same amount at the top. But these are clearly shorter. So there's obviously a perspective reduction in angle, because the first one in the near foreground on the right-hand image is bigger than the one in the background when you include the bit that's dropped below the reified Earth curve edge. So he's incorporated perspective, all right. He's picked it so it's virtually nominal, but ultimately he's still reduced the size of each of these turbines, unlike the Earth curve maths, which does not reduce them. They're all 100 meters, right? Doesn't matter how far they are. They should all be the same size based on the how and why of their maths.
Yeah, that's true if you're going to compare it to the Earth curve calculator. But I think this was just a demonstration of what it would look like through the camera if you was looking at these turbines through, obviously on a curved plane versus on a curved ball versus a plane. And what he was trying to demonstrate here is this is what you would see through the camera on the right, and this is what you'd see on the camera on the left. Obviously, flat versus globe. And in my opinion, you can't tell much difference, and that's why I went
through
to this.
Right, so I'm right through the camera. So he is including perspective. So I was right. Yeah. So he's saying through the camera you wouldn't see any different. What? No. Through the so wow, this is Sly's smart. I like Sly. He's my favourite baller. He's the smartest one out there because he's been extremely clever. So he's not he's not representing it geometrically at all. He's saying they're both models of what you get through the lens of the camera, i.e. perspective included. Oh, right. Well, essentially saying you shouldn't see any difference. Well, who cares? Your model doesn't present it that way. Your model being the Earth model, not his computerized model that's presenting what comes through a camera. The Earth curve calculator does not do that. It's orthographic. It's doing it in geometric terms, not perspective terms.
Isn't perspective geometric?
Vision.
Isn't perspective geometric?
Muppet vision.
Well, that's why I asked you on this first image. I asked you to say, can you pick which one is the difference? If you're both looking through the camera, one's a flat plane, one's a globe. Which is which?
Well, no, because you've covered the bit that gives it away.
Yes, I know. That's exactly why I did it, because you can't really tell.
But hold on,
So
the bit that gives it
around-
away. Put it back on screen now again.
The original, the main one. This one.
Yeah, so the bit that gives it away. Now, ask yourself this. So given that they're very close, does the one on the left, let's look at the horizon only as it's been on the topic of conversation. So Sly Sparkane says that here's a camera view modelled on the left flat Earth, on the right globe Earth. Do we have, beneath the horizon, these poles in the actual image?
No.
So the globe one is showing poles through water, the physical edge that is reified, and that's not in the actual image.
That's true.
Is that,
I think he left that in.
and so in that case, the one on the left, the flat Earth one, is a by far more realistic representation.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you looked at it that way.
Well, that's the only way to look at it. He's given us a picture. I mean, he's not giving us any data. He's not showing us the model. He's not showing how he did the model, created the model. It's just a couple of images. For all I know, they are the same. I don't know. I have no idea. He's not giving us the modelling data. But he's giving us two pictures to look at. Right,
Yeah,
okay. And a comparison with a photograph. And which one matches better? That's his question. Here's one on the globe, and here's one on flat Earth. Which one's the closest representation to the actual picture? Well, I can tell you straight away, the flat Earth one, because he seems to have poles going through his reified edge.
This was he did a live stream going through this, how he made it and everything. So I took these two images, took the one on the left and one on the right when he had finished modeling them. So he did actually do it properly on his computer.
Do what?
He modelled it out. He put the distances in, the height of the turbines, and then he gave them an arbitrary drop, obviously from the globe side, and didn't for the flat Earth. And I took these two images to show that, when you're looking at these turbines going further away like this, it isn't for the globe Earthers here that are listening. This, because flat Earthers understand this. This, what you're seeing here, can be equally applied on either.
Are you looking at the? I see what's happening. It's sleight of hand by Sly. He's got you looking at the turbines, and all three sets of turbines, when you remove the horizon, all look the same. Now, but for the fact he's decided to have his turbines depicted as wrapping around a sphere, having been obscured by a reified edge, the only difference in these images is the horizon. So therefore, we have to accept with his right-hand side image that the horizon's a physical edge. It's physically blocking something that is also simultaneously showing us in the image. So therefore, his right-hand image is the biggest fail, because it in no way represents the actual picture in the middle. It doesn't look like that. When you add the horizon in, the horizon being the contentious bit, the bit he thinks is a physical edge obscuring it.
Should we see which angle matches up the best, Nath? Should we open it in Paint and have a look?
Why, when you can look at the horizon and see that the globe's completely wrong at the horizon? Look at the horizon, Ranty. Let's forget the turbines for a minute. They all look the same to me. Now, there's a distinct difference between these three images at one specific location, the horizon. His horizon appears to be both physical and see-through at the same time, depicting his reification of it bending around a horizon and obscuring it at the same time. Well, that doesn't match the picture. End of argument. His picture doesn't match.
Well, let me just open this in Paint and.
Ranty, while you're doing that, how far is those turbines from the observer who took the picture?
Oh, crikey! I think 13 miles, if I remember rightly.
1-3?
Yeah, I think it's 13 miles, something like
Between
that. Yeah.
11 and 13. The closest is about 11. The furthest is about 13.
Do we know the height? Do we know the height of the observer when he took the picture?
About 100.
Yeah, it's a long time ago though.
Okay, I'm just trying to also use what we learned on Saturday to judge that picture.
So there's the line through the original turbines. So which one matches up the best? Is it to the flat where we've got a slight discrepancy, or do we go over to the globe where we have a much bigger discrepancy?
So even if you do look at them on face value and then draw out a line, the flat Earth one matches better in all respects. Then is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So at the horizon it fails. At the turbines it fails. It's not the same. The globe one doesn't match.
Yeah, the globe one is far worse in through the camera, and the flat one matches up better than the globe one does. Reality versus the model.
Right.
Nathan, at this point, I'm thinking how we don't let them beg the question on Coriolis anymore. So we can't let them beg the question on Horizon anymore.
Nah, Coriolis is back on the table.
Oh yeah. Why?
What do you mean why?
I mean, why? We don't observe Earth
Why?
turning.
Because it's back on the table. That's how they're going to prove it. It's fine. It's a good argument.
Okay.
All right. I would say it's a fun argument to have. I wouldn't say it's a good argument for them.
Yeah, it's a good argument for them. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right, but how does that take away my point from Saturday's show?
Heck, we talk about gravity all the time. Fucking thing doesn't exist, right? Gravity is the force of gravity, right? Well, what is that? Please.
Well, we tell them, what is gravity?
Can you tell me what that is? I can show you the Coriolis effect on a merry-go-round. So I think you need to probably think about that, right?
I'm talking Earth-based Coriolis.
Yeah, I'm talking Earth-based gravity.
Yeah, I don't let them get away with it.
That's not the point. It's the argument, right? I just step off in Bizarro world again.
I don't see what you're saying.
A force is, of course, a force.
If they want to prove the Earth spinning and use the Coriolis forces as an argument, they can do that. They just got to show Coriolis effect.
Yeah, there's a Coriolis definitely on the roundabout. When we use the example Nathan uses with the drone, absolutely, it goes straight up, but because you spin underneath it, it looks like it's diverting, but it's really just gone straight up. I get that. That's on the merry-go-round. I'm talking about the Earth-based Coriolis when the helicopter.
Yeah, I know you are. But the Coriolis force itself has some existence, right? Where's gravity? Can you show me gravity? Anywhere.
I'm with you on that. That's what I say.
Okay. Thanks.
So your point is
I'm with you on
that
that.
while we talk about gravity all the time, nobody's showing you gravity. Whereas because I can show you an apparent deviation if I launch a drone off a roundabout and observe it from the spinning roundabout, seeming to come towards me and go away from me, I'm observing a Coriolis force. Therefore, I can show a Coriolis force. It's something that's real. Whereas you can't show me gravity, it's not real. So it's a more valid argument to claim Coriolis force as
Well,
a
they'll-
proof than
hang
gravity
on.
because you can't show it. I nearly got there without
Hang
interruption.
Hang on, when they drop something and mislabel it gravity, they think they're showing something, but we know what that is.
But they pick it up first.
That's what I'm saying. So we just like we destroy Coriolis properly, we can destroy. Hey, you had to pick it up first, and then not only that, but star rotation. Well, turn around now. Which way are the stars rotating? So we can kill them on any of these things because I could turn around and say the stars are moving left to right, and turn around and say they're moving right to left too.
You know what? You know what? It's all good. Let them come in and tell us how a helicopter that should be deviating isn't deviating. It's kind of fun.
Okay.
I don't mind. I actually kind of don't mind hearing them argue against their argument.
No worries.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I'll unravel their argument for you right now. They'll assume that there's 3 reference frames. So in your example, or my example, whichever, the roundabout, drone, and Earth rotating, that will be assumed automatically. And then, depending on which way I or you go with your argument about Earth not demonstrating any deviation, they'll point out that there is a deviation in the example with the roundabout. And then when it gets to the Earth rotating underneath as a 3rd reference frame that has the Earth and atmosphere spinning with it, that will be asserted as a needed an explanation that needs justification for it not deviating. That's what we'll get.
I've been on so many shows with you guys and learned so much. I'm just not in the mood to let them beg the question on anything anymore.
Well, we have to have a Coriolis effect argument, even though they're much more sly with that particular argument about slipping it in. They'll beg the question that Earth is rotating. That's what I mean by 3rd reference frame. So in all of the arguments and examples given by them, or dissected by them if we give one, the assumption will stand that they have a Earth rotating underneath all of the example always.
That doesn't mean I won't rebuttal their argument. I'm just saying I won't let them beg the question.
Okay,
I agree
good.
with you.
I was going to say, as long as I don't have to just lean on chocolate all the time to say, hold on, why are we assuming Earth's turning automatically? Isn't that what we're supposed to be proving?
No, what I'm saying is I will call out the begging the question right off the bat and then say, so what you're saying is, and then repeat their claim and then destroy it with sound arguments. Yes, I don't have a problem with that.
It's all right. It all falls to shit the moment you say demonstrate it.
Exactly.
Well, you can
The
demonstrate it with
best
the
thing you
roundabout.
ever did, Nathan, was, if it moves under the ring laser gyro, then
Yeah,
it's got to move under
demonstrate the
airplane.
Earth-based. That's what I mean.
Yeah, you throw a ball from a roundabout and you can see it deviate. I just said that, chocolate. That's their claim. Coriolis effect is really simple.
What?
There you go.
Good. Let's see the helicopter.
Helicopter do what?
If the roundabout has to spin for you to observe the deviation, then the Earth has to spin for you to observe what?
No, you don't. As a globe head, I am absolutely assured of my understanding that the Earth and atmosphere travel together. So obviously you're not going to see a helicopter deviate. They're travelling to one. Don't you know what the conservation of momentum is?
If you're conservating momentum, you have no Coriolis.
You almost
No,
killed me
you
with that
do.
one, Nathan.
Chocolate, I just said this to you. God, you're making me repeat myself. We went through it only moments earlier. You've got a ball, you throw it on a roundabout, and it goes in a straight line, and you rotate underneath, and you see deviation. That's Coriolis effect. It's really simple.
Right. How does that relate to the rotation of the Earth?
Because Earth's rotating.
Oh, okay.
But tornadoes! But tornadoes!
You kill me, Nathan. The atmosphere stuck to the Earth like Velcro. I love that one.
Yes, that's right. See, 10th man's getting it.
Can we get in a convertible roundabout?
Convertible roundabout. I think you're getting confused here. A convertible car on a roundabout doesn't even have to be on a roundabout. I think we need to explain to the fundies what the difference between open, closed, and isolated is, just for the benefit.
I've got a question.
Go on.
So if gas is stuck to the ball like Velcro and essentially is in lockstep with it, how come when someone farts on one side of the room, 10 seconds later I get to smell it?
Well, because it's still filling the available volume up to the Kármán line, and it's all travelling along together, but individually, whilst travelling along together, it's dissipating in the available volume. It's very simple.
So it's free moving. The gas is free moving, but also stuck.
Yes, exactly. George Netanyahu summarised it. It's sort of independent.
24 fucking quid.
Yeah, 24 fucking quid.
Or is it all together? No. That was for the
Brian, we don't need to hear you haggling. 24 quid? For what?
44.
Bags of the beer?
I would have got 45.
24 quid? You've got to be having me on. That's outrage. Daylight robbery.
Good stuff.
Okay, yeah, fine. I don't mind arguing Coriolis. It's total nonsense. They'll just assume Earth spins the entire argument. Babs was right earlier. Babs, when he's talking about fluffers, well, you end up with a situation where Xanix's the fluffer and a cum virus is the fluffy, and he's heard a bit of the argument. Well, I'm just saying he's heard a good chunk of the argument and understands that every time Xanix argues, he's claiming that you're remaining in the same reference frame. Now that's doublespeak or code for I'm assuming Earth's turning in every example. But he didn't appreciate that bit because it's never overtly stated. Now we understood it because we unpicked it and then can reiterate what he's assuming by making that statement. Yeah, you always remain in the same reference frame. And it doesn't matter how I argue that I'm moving reference frames or Miley Cyrus. You know, he doesn't want to ever claim that you're never off the Earth that's turning because that's his assumption. Now, because a cum virus didn't get that, he makes stupid statements like I can take my pants with me when I leave my pants because I'm always in the same reference frame. And we take him back and forth with when you get off the roundabout, you've left the reference frame, haven't you? No. Well, he doesn't understand the argument and the positioning that Xanix takes, who's a far more adept arguer or debater when it comes to this particular subject. So he knows in the back of his mind why he's always saying you don't leave a reference frame, but he's never going to state that overtly to someone like a cum virus. He'll just have the argument and explain the argument that he wants people to understand.
Right. Well, I would equate it to other things, rather like cannon fodder, foot soldiers, and the more, the artillery or whatever. But comparing it to porn, just. But I get it. You're right, Nathan.
Well, he's of that mindset that he can admit on the show that the gas would fill the available space by admitting it would equalize, and then saying, yeah, it would equalize, but I'm not buying it. Well, but you just admitted that it would equalize. Yeah, but I'm not buying it. You can't talk to a person like that.
It's like Bob when Bob says relative density is not a force of some kind. Well, what made the egg move? Well, you can call it a force, but I don't accept that. You can't really not accept it, Bob. It either moved and it was a force, or it didn't. One way or the other, there was a force involved because it moved.
And with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the Discord and G Plus panels for making this after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley Premier Stream audience for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!